Well, I'm on a block, and I will be the Maya. I remember many years back when Rekha came to me to study Indian thought. We didn't think of Maya yet. We thought of cosmos, and that was, she didn't mention those cosmic questions. Now, the reason I studied the best I could, Čiurlionis, and arts. It's not because I'm an artist. I could not paint a wall. I guarantee you, I could not carry a tune. In short, I'm amusical and non-artistic. But philosophy is a question. And philosophy has one ultimate quest, and that is to understand the universe. And the universe is a very peculiar place. It's not a place at all. It has no place. Nowhere can you find it. And the reason why I say this is this. I have the honor, I don't know, fun. Every week I meet with astronomers, astrophysicists. We talk cosmic language. And we all fail to understand the cosmos. In fact, I have a little book in Lithuanian, The Cosmic Consciousness. And that consciousness is very peculiar because it is not my consciousness. That's the problem. I, as a little twig on this little planet, lost at the edge of a little solar system, is nowhere. So the quest is how to understand the cosmos. Now, what is the quest and what is the problem? Every theology, every mythology, and every science will talk about the beginning, when the universe began. And the question is this. I studied in many universities, and one of the universities had a teacher who asked a simple question, and asked a question of astronomers and the rest of us. When we say the universe began, for example, with a Big Bang, India has also the Big Bang, okay? It's a very unique, sexy thing, but the Western Big Bang is scientific. And so the question is this. After the Big Bang, the universe unfolded from the past, and it is at present, and it is moving toward the future. That's obvious, right? I mean, ask anybody. Now, being purely scientific, cosmic, the question is this. Is there anything apart from the universe? Of course, we have to say no, thank you. It's enough that we are here. If there's no other if there's nothing apart from the universe, then in what time does the universe unfold? Is there some other time? Well, of course not. There is no time apart from the universe, but the universe cannot be in time. So now the question is, how shall we understand time? Not one after the other, because the universe cannot go one after the other. So the quest for understanding of time was one of the major problems in and across entire Western and many other traditions. And the decision was that we are little twigs in the wind, and we are now. I just talked to a colleague, says, of course we are now. We're sitting here by the table and drinking coffee now. So immediate question is, what about the past? Well, the past is no longer. And of course, the future is not yet. So now we invented a soul. The soul remembers the past and expects the future. Well, that is the invention of the subject which might who supposedly accounts for time. Past is gone. In fact, Augustine asked a curious question. He said, well, since past is gone, future is not yet, ubi temps, where is time? And of course, it's in the soul. So now we have to remember the past and expect the future, but we are now. And we are, as Whitehead said, the great philosopher, we have impaled ourselves on the now point, and we don't know how to get off. Anytime we try to get off, we have to use our memory, or anytime we want to get off into the future, we have to use our expectations. The modern philosophers, in quotes from Heidegger, Sartre, Husserl, and the rest, and most of the major thinkers, sociologists talk about future as our projection. Talk psychologists, and they talk about we project our future. So that means the whole universe is now, and we are ahead of the universe. Wow. Hey, how did we get there? So now, to dispense with the issue and to understand cosmos in a very different way, and that is where the art comes in. Borges once laughed, said, philosophers attempted to solve this riddle in all kinds of fascinating stories. In fact, he said, philosophers are more fabular than any good artist because they tell fantastic stories. He had this story about planets. If you place one philosopher on one planet, another philosopher on another planet, they'll have a very different planets. One says, if I don't see it, it ain't there. The other says, well, I am eternal, I'm a god, and therefore I created a universe, and so on, and all kinds of stories. So why then art, and why Cherlonis? Many mentions were, and Reka mentioned also, and Jurate and many others, that Lithuanian archaic tradition and Lithuanian tradition is cosmic. Now, what does that mean? How you and I, being here, are to claim that we are cosmic. As Lithuanians, in fact, not only Lithuanians, the whole world understands that question. And Reka talked about Maya, and that is a minor wrinkle in the whole question. But when we listen to music, and I am a peasant from Lithuania, and we sang songs, but the thing is, we did not sing. The songs sang themselves. The music played itself. And this is the riddle. For example, one song we used to sing at night. Many songs I heard in the silence of the evening. I heard the songs. And when I followed them into the distance, the song was swaying and singing, and the wind was listening to its voice. I didn't sing, the song sang, and it drifted into distances. Now, what is at issue here is this. Cherlonis, as an artist, saw the explosion, and the explosion is this. When you step back and say, well, we are now, and we are stuck on this line. When you erase the line, suddenly, now is the whole universe, not just a point. opens up. Nocturnal universe is vast, but silent. Now the problem, it's not a problem. All music, no matter of what, in what continent, under whatever tradition, has a background called silence. Now, we saw paintings. I will speak of them in a while. The paintings, although dynamic, had a silent dimension, which we could not hear, we could not look at, but there it was, and I will speak of it later. Okay. Now, next step is that Čiurlionis, as an artist, had a very good knack. He was not there as a painter, as a musician. Because when you are doing nocturnals, and the Indian princess Pocahontas asked her British friend, Joe Smith, have you heard a coyote howling in the moonlight? The night is silent, dark. Now, one thing about paintings and all of that, I must remind you that not all awareness is of color. The dark night has no color. You are in it. You're not, as I'm facing a night which is painted dark. You are in the darkness, and everything emerges out of that darkness, assumes a form, but never complete form. So now the night is articulated. They're homogeneous. Silence, starry night, is first articulated and given a shape, the silence, with a sound. Now, first level of sound, and I'll use my Zen experience, is one bell resonating across the universe. Resonating. I mean, when you have the bell, it rings and it drifts and it drifts, but not into space and not into past, but into depth. The past is not past. It is disclosing the depth of the universe. And that depth disclosed, although it's drifting deeper and deeper, it is also close. It is what I call time turning. And we heard the lady say, the beautiful woman, the beautiful girl performing miracles. Now, what I heard, and I always listen for, is a continuous silence being articulated, drifting away, but the sound that was, in quotes, made first has not disappeared. It's in depth and, in fact, overlaps the next sound, and it's already ahead of it. There's no sequence, you know, because we have a metaphor of music, sequence of notes. That's visual metaphor. That's not the way sound plays, okay? And so every, in quotes, notes is already swung back by the drifting depth, and the depth slashes over, and it's already, in quotes, ahead of the next note, okay? So that is, you see, one it's not a joke. The funny thing is about people say, well, we have to discover time. So how are we going to discover time? Send an expedition to Mars. Okay, there is time. We're going to take a shovel, dig deep, and say, finally, what color is time? We are already temporal. And that moment of that silence drifting away is also carries another dimension, and that is the melody. Melody you do not hear as a sequence of notes. Melody is the way that sounds drifting away are overlapping and articulating themselves, and the melody in quotes is silent. So, which sound is the melody? Say, well, some of them. Well, I count some of them, and there's no melody. The melody is articulating the silence that is also time turning back upon itself from the depth and shifting back other, in quotes, notes into the depth. And so here you have the universe, the cosmos, is resonating in depth, not past and future, and from past to present to future. The universe is still creating, still being created. The good artists, I call the artistic pathic moment. Pathic moment is this. When Čiurlionis sits by a piano nocturnal, he is captured by the depth, by the starry flashes. And he is totally immersed in that, and he makes it resonate. In short, the universe is not finished. It is still creating itself, and Čiurlionis is an extension of that creation. He is not a subject facing the night. You can't face a night. Where is it? Okay, he is the night, and he is the music of the night. Okay, so now, so that was the first moment, you know, the homogeneous darkness, but that homogeneous darkness is not only what there is. That darkness is turning over already with the morning dawn. And in fact, the song, Lithuanian song, and my heart cannot rest until the sun extinguishes the morning star. I'm not doing anything. The sun extinguishes the morning star into darkness, but then the flood of light scatters, and you saw in Čiurlionis paintings, the flood of light scattering the darkness. Okay? But the darkness is still turning over because it has to be still scattered, okay? So it's not in the past, but in depth. So what we have here is that the universe, and one thing as I mentioned, I talked to astronomers, and I think 3 weeks ago, one finally confessed that the past is not past, that the universe has not started then, and it's moving from then to now. It is still banging. And how do we know that it's banging? And they told me that we have just listened to the echoes of the Big Bang. Now, they were not 13 billion years ago, these guys, hey, I'm empirically, I'm listening, hey, look at the Big Bang. They are hearing the echoes, the depth of, at present, of the universe, not the past. You know, in my cosmic consciousness text, there's a question. Well, let me give you a backdrop. Augustine said, well, since we are now, things that past us go into past into nothing. And whatever comes out of nothing, because future is not real. It comes in from nothing and disappears into nothing. Well, now, the thing is this. When I am expecting a friend, see, that would be Kantian. Well, he's not here now, so he is coming from the future. No, he is coming from the depths. He is already on the way. And he is coming from the cosmic depth. Maybe he's an astronaut, he's coming from Mars, but he is not coming from the future. He's emerging from the cosmic depth. See, now, see what artists did for me is tell me that I don't have to worry about that linear Big Bang and how did the universe move in what time. The universe is in no time. It is self-creating temporal depths, surging, and I call that upsurgence. Okay? No matter how far we listen, the depth is still resonating, even in silence. It's drifting away. But now here, you cannot say drifting into space or into time. It's drifting into both depths. And we are the place where those depths are recreated or continuously created. Okay. Now, so when astronomers tell me, we are expecting data on our instruments from the past. Well, the past is gone, mister. So what past is coming to catch up to us? Well, we're expecting the data to come. That means from the future. But the data is from the past. So what is it? It's the depth of the cosmos that is shifting and surging, and we are caught into it. That's why I rejected politely, I told Heidegger, we're not being in the world. We are worldly. Now, one thing, and you mentioned that there are unfinished sonatas, and I agree with that. But in all the paintings and all of his music, what he shows, that the universe is not finished. We are continuously creating it, and we are co-creators. And so nothing is finished. You look at the paintings, there are no clear things. They are emerging, constantly emerging, self-creating out of the depths of the colors. The colors are not colors of anything. See, we say, well, the sky is blue. There is no sky. It's blue, depth of blue. And in that depth, out of the depth, things emerge, and they overlap with that depth, but never completely. So we are part of the upsurgence of the cosmic play, and we play with it. Now, Ray in all the paintings. Now, what you saw, and you said layer upon layer upon layer. That is correct if you don't look at the background and the foreground. They are constantly surging, one overlapping the other. They're constantly interplaying. There is no, they say there's a source of light, sun. The sun appears in its peculiar shade because of the play of the light all around. The sun has no color. It is colored by the flood that floods the entire region, out of which the sun itself emerges. Okay? So that's why, the morning dawn is the morning dawn, and it floods over everything and reveals the brightness of the morning sun. Okay? So there is the cosmic shading of light and darkness. And when Reka said, no, these are abstract, they're not abstract at all. They are cosmic, out of which things appear. You say, well, he painted the blue sky. It's abstract. No, that's a cosmic depth, out of which stars emerge, out of which morning light emerges, out of which nocturnal sounds drift through the morning. All that is, well, I talked to Reka when she was younger about Shakti. India talks about Shakti, that the entire universe is energies, Shakti. And one thing about Shakti is this, and you talk to physicists, you talk to psychiatrists. I teach psychiatrists. I don't know why. how to find themselves or something. It's fun. And they say, you know, we talk about emotions. They say, no, there is a homogeneous sort of a sensation. And it has to be moved. It has to be animated, articulated. So here, the homogeneous Shakti immediately is articulated by lila, play. The energies are there, but they are playing. And the play forms various shapes they emerge out of the playing Shakti, and they are submerged back in. They never get completed, you know. So in the name of Čiurlionis, I say, he does not paint things having essences. They are essencing. The fish is splashing in the water, and it has created splashes that drift through the depths of the water, and you see that fish in those depths. Okay. Now, so the Shakti is at play, and the play is also Maya. Why is it Maya? Not because it hides another reality, but because the play shifts and creates new things, and the other ones drift away and looks like they went into invisibility or into inaudibility, but they are the depth that is being overplayed by other depths. So there is no disappearance. It is simply merging and coming into presence, but into the presence which is not mine. So now, what I'm trying to say that I am not talking about Čiurlionis. I am talking what Čiurlionis is as a disclosure of the play of the universe. He is the player. He is not a thing sitting there saying, I'm a subject looking at a dark night. Well, there's nothing to look at. He articulates the dark night and the sounds of the dark night in depth. Okay? So this is a Japanese, I know, claim that Čiurlionis borrowed from Zen and all of that. Well, you cannot borrow silence, nor can you borrow cosmic energies and cosmic play. You are simply a player. And anywhere, in quotes, anytime, you are in that cosmic depth. And you are upsurging with that depth as continuous self-creation of the universe. So, you know, when you have paintings called creation of the universe, it is simply self-creation that is manifesting itself. So the depth of colors are not layers, but one over the other, constantly surging, constantly overlapping. The background, in short, a figure or a layer is already shining in front. Okay? And that's what I call cosmic turning of time. Thank you. I said, get to help. Laikykite kitą paimsiu. Aha, aye.
Great. Do we have some questions? It's
Thank you so much, Professor. It was very, 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 very interesting. It was very cosmic and in depth. Just an observation, because Čiurlionis was a composer and he dealt as a composer a lot with the time. I have the feeling his paintings, even though the early ones, are dealing with the aspect of time. For example, in this funeral symphony, it starts with a bell and a dead body behind the fence that has the fence is like the wings of an angel. So it is double depth, if I may quote you. First depth, the bell, and second bell, it is something beyond. The person who died is beyond our world. And then we start. It is daylight. Second painting, afternoon. Third painting, evening. Fourth painting, night. Fifth painting,
turning.
Yeah, it's turning. So it's the time that flows. The time.
No, the time turns, and all of a sudden the turning of light into shading, Lithuanian say, and the evenings blushing so red, so radiantly. Okay, that's already an evening, not a thing, the whole dimension.
So those stuff I don't see to other painters of that time, even though those French Impressionists that they were painting the same church at the beginning, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. So the aspect of time is more essential to the
yeah. You know, I argued in some books that even the plastic, so to speak, statues are inscriptions of time. You know, we saw Egyptian motifs, okay? Well, the pyramids were not standing. They were in a flood of light emerging. And the columns were crumbling, time, depth. We see depth of time. You see, it's not my time, the cosmic depth, okay? I don't remember those pyramids and all of that, but they show me the depth out of which they're emerging, and they still are emerging, okay? So, you know, that what I call emergence of even our awareness. You know, we say, well, I see things and all of that, but when you are walking, things emerge. Your awareness emerges. It's not yet articulated. It's sort of a antiphonic. Okay.
Well, after such a wonderful and exciting presentation, it's really very difficult to say anything. But I'll
say it anyway. Say it.
I'll venture first one suggestion and then one question. There is no blue sky. There is simply a flood of blue.
The blueness.
I think that this actually, I'm going back to the Deleuzean idea, the infinitive. Wouldn't it be very good to say it is too blue? Infinitive gives this idea of action, of something happening, but still something which is not, you know, on the arrow of time, left to right. It is sort of hovering above things as an action.
Yeah, you see,
just the way it is phrased, it is expressed in language. It is only.
Yeah, you see, language is a fascinating convenience. Okay, it doesn't say much about. It talks about things. S is P, so that's why, you know, we were stuck. Well, what is time? Well, time is blue, yellow, green, or whatever. Kant says, well, it ain't got no color. Okay, so the temporality here is not what we perceive, but what allows things to emerge. The turning of time, the turning of night into dark is not an entity. It is the upsurging time shape that discloses stars, discloses nocturnal birds and all of that. So that's why I'm saying it's not one after the other. It's too late. Anytime you say, yesterday is gone, it's not gone.
Another question is, how do we reconcile that with, let's say, with the second law of thermodynamics, which specifies the arrow of time?
Yeah, okay. Thermodynamics is an effort to establish what I call a permanent consciousness. The law itself becomes atemporal. You see, in some of my books, I discuss one minor thing. My colleagues, astronomers, talk about measuring of time. Okay, so now, and what you have to notice is how they use spatial metaphor. Well, the distance from present to the distance. Well, I can walk from here to the end of the room and come back and measure the distance. How do I stick my hand, a measure into the past, say, okay, now I'll try again, and if I made a mistake, I go back into time. That is not the temporality. Now, another point. When you talk about thermodynamics, irrespective of wherever you are is mathematical formulation. Mathematics has no time. You cannot say I'm measuring time mathematically. Billion can measure billion trees, billion light years, a billion cucumbers, a billion people. Numbers are indifferent to time or space. And you can have billion points and you will never get extension, okay? So that is the issue of mathematics and AI and all the rest of the beautiful creations. They do not talk about cosmos. They do not talk about time. They do not talk about space and space-time. And you cannot measure those things. These are our life. We are timing. We are, you know, I'm very old. When I was younger, 2,000 years ago, but people tell me, you know, you were a bad boy when you were younger. I mean, you did bad things. Now, the past is catching up to you. It is catching up to me. It's going to beat me, okay? It's already ahead of me. Okay.
But for all that, we still cannot dispense with visualizing and actually spatializing time.
Yeah.
Since
well,
all the time we
can.
actually suggesting you were suggesting circularity, and you know you gesticulate like this. So
let me take you to Latin America and we'll go salsa dancing and I will show you the visual time is gone. It will be hot, sizzling hot.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
India has one metaphor, cosmic dance. Okay. Now, no. O tai nieko nepasako. Mums sako, čia patokybė, patogumas. Patogumas, patogimas. Patogumas, viskas patogu. You know, the convenience. Somebody says the hurricane is at this quadrature, the center of a hurricane is there. By the time you finish saying it's gone. There is no such thing as, well, we can measure where it is. Where is the edge of the hurricane? Yeah, buffeting winds. But anyway, but you see, atleisk.
Ačiū, Algi, kaip visada, įdomu labai klausytis. Nu, aš mąstau apie tai, apie mūsų mąstymą mąstau, ar ne? Nu, mums niekaip kitaip neišeina kalbėti apie tai, ko beveik neaprėpiama mąstymu, kaip vis tiek kažkokiamis metaforomis. Ir jūs pats prisipažinote, tada reikia kalbėti erdvės metaforomis. Jeigu mes atmetame linijinę kažkokią metaforą, mes vis tiek imame sukimosi, išnirimo, išnykimo, radimosi. Visa tai yra erdvinės metaforos, teisingai. Ir juk suvokiame, kad ne tik kas prieš mūsų akis ten išnyra, ar ne, bet mums yra realybė heterotopinės, heterochroniniai dalykai, kas yra mūsų apskritai, mūsų sapnai, mūsų mąstymas. Tada išeina, kad jau čia nerato sukimasis, čia viskas labai komplikuota.
Yeah.
Kaip tada čia mes toje visatoje?
Žiūrėkit, was asked about our space metaphors, visual metaphors. I'll answer in English. Now, visual metaphors, we think that they're ocular, we see visually. That is completely off the mark. You see only because you can move. Vision is kinesthetic, oriented. I cannot see what's behind me. I have to turn around, okay? So it's already movement, a rhythmic movement, could be dynamic movement. And then our space metaphors disappear if you go dancing. It's a rhythm that goes nowhere, no orientation, but very dynamic, Okay, in fact, it's so dynamic that sometimes you forget to eat and to drink. Well, you don't forget to drink, but to eat you forget. Okay, the dynamics of dance is not in visual space. It's turning, shifting, creating, so to speak, figures that appear and dissolve immediately. Okay, the dance. Well, let's say this way, the dancer is the dance. It's not a body dancing. The dancer's movements constitute the dance, and the dancer is that dance. And I was teaching at, in New York, Laban notations, dance notations, and they had, you know, hexagon and all of that. These are the movements. I said, well, I'd like to jump out of that hexagon and turn around and jump over it. Why constrict that to spatial, you know, parameters? There are no parameters. The dance is never finished. The cosmic dance of Shiva will go, and the dance, the rhythm will go on and on, not in from past to future, but everything dances. Yeah.
Thank you for your talk. And I started to understand why yesterday you talked about Taoism. And I suddenly realized the similarity, the common meaning between your talk, your understanding of cosmic time, cosmic time or cosmos,
Yes.
is it cosmos?
Yes, cosmos, yeah.
Cosmos, and Tao, the similarity
Yes.
between the two. And it was really illuminating for me because I was a scholar in Western philosophy. And I was studying all the French philosophy, contemporary, you know, Foucault and
They're not philosophers. They are sociologists.
yeah, yeah,
Bad
not real philosophers, right? And recently, I started to get into the trap of Heidegger, and I started to realize that a lot of those Western philosophers they get some insight from Eastern philosophy, for example, Taoism or Confucianism, and I didn't really understand this. You know, this Chinese culture is part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to, through their lens, to see when I try to look at our own culture through the Western lens, I kind of borrow their lens.
Mm-hmm.
So I got confused a little bit, I think. And after your talk, it really gave me great insight. Because I started to understand the difference, you know, I started to recognize that lens, you know, the Western lens of mine, and also maybe of all of yours because you're Westerners. And let me put it more clear. As I understand, even though I don't study Taoism or I don't read a lot in ancient Chinese because I don't master that language anymore, and like most of Chinese.
Wow.
Really, it's really bad. But the good thing is that it's still integrated into our soul, as you said. So our understanding is a kind of like Taoist text, the thought is part of our life. And for example, when you talk about cosmic life and cosmic way of understanding time and things like that, the central word for the Western philosophy is understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from the lens of the Western philosophy or Western thought, that lens is more like a rational way of seeing things. Mm-hmm. So it becomes concepts like subject, object, and time and space, you know, things like that. So these are the central concepts in Western philosophy. But the Chinese way of life, the wisdom, so-called wisdom, we don't call them philosophy actually. Philosophy is a Western word. So our ancient, the wisdom passed down from our ancestors is that this kind of understanding is not like subject, object, this kind of rational understanding. It is the way how we live.
Yeah, you know, there is in Chinese, for example, landscapes and painting. It is something amazing that there is no subject to painter, because in reality, okay, if I paint, I sit here and I do my perspective and all of that. Chinese, you have a mountain range from the sky. There's no painter up there, but the way things show up, okay, that is already seeing cosmically from the cosmos and not from subject. Us, we have invented the subject. Now, when you mention rationality, okay, rationality is not some kind of a mind thing. We created high, low, past, present, future. We're moving from left to right. You know, ask astronomers which way the universe is moving. So moving from left to right. I said, no, for me, it's from right to left. Oh, it can't be. No, it's a habit. It's convenience, okay? So that orientation, okay, that cross, okay, in fact, semioticians use the quadratic system. Everything belongs in that rigid square, okay? That's just a minor awareness, okay, minor convenience, in fact. But the awareness, you know, you mentioned Tao and I mentioned Zen. Now, I mentioned Chilonis as not being there, but being the very way that the universe unfolds in depths and overlapping times, not one time, all kinds of overlappings. The galaxies overlap and the energies flow. Now, Zen has the same. The Dogen, for example, the great master, he never painted. And the place of, you know, I mentioned emptiness. The painter is a place, basho, where the universe reflects through the painter. The painter does not say, I'm a subject painting paintings or the composing music. The music is the musician. Yeah, there's no facing. Even Cézanne, you remember Cézanne in the West? He was riding in a carriage, and he said, stop, stop. So the driver stops, and Cézanne says, look at that blue. And so the blue. And it took years to paint his blue period, okay? All kinds of figures were animating that blue dimension. Now, speaking of dimensions, one more final word before I shut up. When we speak of mythologies, okay, we say, well, Aphrodite, a goddess, and Artemis, goddess. Now, they are contractions of dimensions of awareness. Artemis is the gentleness of the whole region. Okay? No, Artemis is a fury. Aphrodite is the gentleness of the, she is not a figure, she's a figure, but she means like that. I see the spring across the treetops and across the flower field. The spring is a dimension, and we see it. Its time is turning of winter into spring, and that turning over is not an entity. It's not visible, but it is a dimension which says, we see it's coming, okay? The flood, the upsurgence of spring across everything. I mean, you say, well, look at everything is sprouting, okay? Now, if any of you are painters, one question. Have you ever tried to paint moonlight? What color is it? I mean, people try to paint. Now, the moonlight shows up everywhere. I mean, it's a dimension among leaves and all that magic, but it is not a thing. It's not a color. Even moon appears in moonlight. Okay. So those are cosmic dimensions in which we live and out of which we never leave the world. We leave the world of things, but we cannot leave the cosmos. Okay, we're cosmic. Yeah, Laura.
Ačiū, Algi. Išprovokavot vieną prisiminimą. Aš nustebau, kai žiūrėjau Samotrakėje, kaip šviečia mėnulis pilnatyje ir vandenyje, jūroje atsispindėjo auksu. Žėrėjo auksas, atrodo, kad jisai net kyla. Ir aš galvoju, kaip taip gali būti, juk mėnulis turėtų sidabru žėrėti, bet vandenyje jis žėrė auksu. Ir paskui jau aš vaikščiojau Lietuvoje, palei Neries upę Vilniuje, Vingio parke, ir žiūrėjau, kai skaičiai švietė saulė, tuomet vandenyje aš mačiau sidabrą. Ir čia žinot, kai jūs sakėt, persidengia. Tai saulutė ir mėnulis persidengia, vanduo yra veidrodis vienas kitam. Man tai yra fantastika, jūs tiesiog įvedėt, aš netapau tapimo būdu, bet tapau stebėdama pasaulį. Nu, arba pasaulis tapo save. Tai va čia toks nukreipimas.
You know, Reika mentioned synesthetic. Now, synesthetic is, I mean, brain physiology is looking for reality everywhere. It can't find anything. It is not brain physiology. We see, when I paint rhythmically, I can dance rhythmically. I can say ta 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 ta. There is no need for brain physiology. In fact, Van Gogh, when we're talking about dimensions, the paintings like Chiloni's paintings, well, we say paintings, the things, but the things are means to disclose the cosmic dimensions. When Van Gogh was asked, why are you painting the wheat fields? He says, I'm not painting wheat fields. What are you painting? I am painting the golden tone of the day. The golden tone is all pervasive. And you cannot say what color it is. And yet you see it on the fields, on wheat fields. But the golden tone is what he is living, what he is as a painter totally attracted to, immersed in, and he cannot leave until he finally tries to paint it on things. Yeah. So art, a painting of things, is not aesthetics. The cosmic dimensions are aesthetic. What attracts us, what's beautiful, what's shocking, and all of that.
Kai jūs pasakojate apie Šyvo šokį, logiškai aš pagalvojau apie eskeipizmą, kaip jogai pasitraukė į urvus, kuriuose yra kiaurą parą tamsu, tai kaip ir nėra laiko, lyg ir nėra, tai irgi matyti tam tikrą transą išveda. Kaip jums atrodytų tos būsenos, kai nėra laiko cikliškumo, kai tu jo negali pagauti?
Yeah. I'll answer in English. Says, you know, in darkness there's no time. Well, in homogeneity, if it's not animated, there is no time. It has to be animated. The universe is homogeneous, and any kind of rhythm animates it and gives it shapes, but those shapes are at the same time the upsurgence of those cosmic energies. You know, we talk of the sun. The sun is not a thing. It's just bubbling, surging energies, exploding, radiating. Gilvina said, you know, what about us, you know, biological? I says, we are cosmic in a very biological sense. We have iron in our blood, right? We need it. It is not from our region because iron can be formed only in supernova. And that's billions of light years away. So we are brothers and sisters of some supernova somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, so tamsa, yogis ir taip toliau. Let's say this way. For example, Shiva, the cosmic dancer, decided to get out of the world, okay? He was performing tapas, contemplation. And contemplation means disattachment. I will not eat, I will not drink, I will not do anything. One thing he could not get rid of, and that is the cosmic passion, kama, the cosmic fire. And he got so angry that he burned kama to crisp, and all the gods came and said, Shiva, bring back kama to life, because without kama, the universe is sava, corpse. You need to animate. Yeah. Okay.
Norėčiau, kad jūs pasakytumėt keletą žodžių apie meilę ir visuotinę meilę. Ir manau, kad meilė ir čiurlionis, ir visa tai, kas gimė iš jo kūrybos, yra labai svarbu. O pasaulinė visuotinė gal tenais kažkaip su visada.
Yeah.
Labai dėkoju. Ačiū.
Yeah, visuotinė meilė, cosmic love. Well, cosmic love. Every civilization has cosmic passion. In the West, we have eros, which is not sex. It is the passion for life, the passion for everything. People accuse me of being very unserious because I'm full of joy, and the world is joyous because I'm impassioned with it. The world is passion, the fire, the interest, the dynamics, the rhythms, and so on. And I cannot help but be that way, okay? So I love you because I love the universe too, okay? You're part of it, and that's that. And India, one cosmic dimension. There's Shiva, the cosmic dancer. There is Shakti, the cosmic energies, Leela, the cosmic play, Maya, the cosmic veil, and Kama, the cosmic passion, eros. Everything is erotic. Everything is in love with everything. Thank you.
Do you have more questions? And also we can have questions to our speakers.
Be dancers, be writers, be poets, and be co-creators of the self-creating universe. Continuous without, not only continuous, but deep and surging and forever dancing.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.